Good afternoon and welcome to Cat Chat Live. My name is Nancy Stevens. I'm a Parent and Family Communications Manager here at UK. I am excited for you to see today's What I Wish My Family Knew virtual student panel. For those of you who have attended a Big Blue Nation orientation this spring or summer, you know that our student panel is a highlight of the day, and you get to learn so much about the current student experience from these superstar students. You may have thought of some questions since you've been at orientation, or some of you may not have been able to attend with your incoming students. So I'm really excited for you to get to meet some of our first year experience ambassadors during our time together today. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping before I turn things over to our first year experience ambassadors. So be thinking of some of your questions that you'll ask when we open up the floor for those. But first of all, we're going to use the Q&A features here in Zoom for you to communicate with us. We'll take as many of your questions as we can in the allotted time. I would really encourage you to focus your questions on the current student experience. There may be some questions that you have that are best answered by a staff member in one of our offices, and we're happy to help make referrals to those. But our first year experience ambassadors are really in the best position to talk about what it's like to be a current UK student. And so focusing your questions there will really allow them to shine and to share the best information with you. You may have a question that's very specific to your student. And for those, I would encourage you to email parents@uky.edu, and we can get you the individual support and attention that you need to your question there. This webinar is being recorded, and we will be putting that in the Cat Chat family community. It says on the screen in the next few days. That will probably be later this afternoon before we start the weekend. You will also get a survey at the end of the webinar that gives us a chance to get some feedback from you, see how this experience met your needs, and what questions you continue to have. Now, this is just the start of our summer series that will be running between now and the start of Big Blue Move-In. So I want you to make note. Hopefully you have seen some of the information in the Cat Chat family community. But on Monday, we start off with a bang with our Big Blue Move-In preview. And over the coming weeks, we'll be talking to a variety of offices. Again, we know that these are the topics that you have a lot of questions about. And so we want you to hear directly from the teams on campus doing this work. Oh, I'm seeing that I failed to put in our topic for July 23rd. That's on me. But excited for that one to have a chance to hear from one of our integrated success coaches in transformative learning. She's going to talk about setting the stage for early academic success in the fall semester. So if you're going to be able to join those webinars live, there are registration links for all of those in our Cat Chat family community. If you're unable to join any of them live, you don't need to register. You'll just look for those recordings after the fact in the Cat Chat family community. Hopefully you all are finding the Cat Chat family community to be a really great resource for University of Kentucky information. Hopefully you've set up your profile, you've maybe edited your notification settings to get our email updates on a weekly basis. Maybe you've clicked on Discover Communities to really tailor and customize the information that you see in Cat Chat, to your students' undergraduate college or to whether they're living on or off campus. It's also a place that you can connect with UK's parent and family team to ask your questions, to leave comments on the information you've found. It's also easy enough to share information directly with your Wildcat from that portal. So we hope you're using that and having a great experience with it. All right, so that is all of the housekeeping that I have to do. So now I'm going to turn things over to our first year experience ambassadors. I'd also like to thank my colleague Kate, who is behind the scenes helping moderate some of our Q&A, and appreciate her support. But first year experience ambassadors, happy last day of orientation. We'll have a few opening of term orientations, but we have reached the end of our kind of 4-week summer sprint of Big Blue Nation orientations, and it's been so fun to work with you on that experience, and just so appreciate everything you've done for incoming students and their families and supporters. So I'm going to have each of you introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from, what you're involved with here at UK. And then we'll start taking folks' questions. So, be using that Q&A feature, families, to start asking questions, and we'll start taking those after introductions. So KJ, I'm going to start with you. You're the first one I see on my screen.
Hey there, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, Nancy. My name is KJ Barrett. I'm an international student from Jamaica. I'm a sophomore majoring in human health sciences on the pre-med track. And a few things that I'm involved in on campus here, other from the first year experience ambassador, is I'm a part of the international student leadership team. I am a part of Caribbean Student Association. I will be an RA this upcoming fall, like Colton himself, and I'm a part of the CARES Leadership Council.
Right. Maddie, you're next on my screen. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everybody. My name is Maddie. I am a senior here at UK. I'm a double major in psychology and social work with a minor in criminology. I'm a military kid, so I have moved around a lot of my life, but I do call DC home. And then a few things that I'm involved in, much like being here, I'm a first year experience ambassador. I also work at our visitor center as a tour guide. I'm a member of the Psychology Student Association. I am a very proud member of the Squirrel Watching Club, I will say, and lots of other things that I dabble in here on campus.
And this is the hard-hitting question everybody wants to know. What's the weirdest thing you've seen one of our campus squirrels do?
I saw it with a full Chick-fil-A sandwich once, just scurry along.
Right? If I were a squirrel, I would absolutely be on a college campus. They're going to eat really, really well. All right, thanks, Maddie. All right, Destiny, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. My name is Destiny Brown. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm a senior here studying kinesiology. And I am involved in many different things on campus, but few things. I work here as a first year experience ambassador, and then I also work in the gym facilities, both the Johnson Recreation Center as well as the Alumni Center. And then I am part of the Student Activities Board, and I'm also on the board for a few other organizations. So
All right, thanks, Destiny. Last but not least, Colton, please tell us about yourself.
Yeah, well, hello everyone. My name is Colton Dalton. I'm from right here in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm also studying kinesiology, exercise science, like Destiny. And one thing that I'm involved in is, as KJ kind of infoed in, is I'm an RA. I have been upcoming for all 3 years. So, and I work exclusively with undergraduates. So I get to see them when they walk in through the door that first day, and then I get to see them leave on their last. So I get to watch that grow throughout their first year.
All right, we've got a rock star panel with us here today, and questions have started to come in. The first one that I'm going to ask, Tina wants to know where students get parking passes. So who wants to explain how the parking permits work and any info you'd share there? All right, Maddie's willing to take that one.
Alrighty, so your student should have received an email earlier this week about parking passes. You can also go on UKY Transportation's website, and all of those parking passes will be listed on there. Most likely, your student is going to get a parking pass for K-Lot, which is at Kroger Field where our football team plays. They will have to move their car by 7 a.m. on game day unless their car will be towed. I have learned that the hard way, not ticketed, towed. So you'll definitely want to move your car. But otherwise, we have other parking lots and parking garages that are free on the weekends. That's not just during football season, that is year round. So they can definitely move their car on those weekends. But most likely they'll get those parking passes for K-Lot. Prices vary per year, so it depends. I know, I'm not sure how much they are this year. I live off campus, so I just walk to campus, so I don't have a commuter pass or anything of that sort. But all of those price breakdowns will be on UK's transportation website.
Thanks, Maddie. I just put the link in our webinar chat for everyone to have that student permit link with a little bit of additional information there. All right. Our next question, I'm actually going to call on a colleague for this one because I suspect that our students are not experts in the plans that are coming together for the university's family weekend. So I'm going to call on my colleague and ask you to share a little bit about what you've got coming for Family Weekend and what kind of events folks can expect.
Hi, thank you so much, Nancy. I'm just pitch hitting here to bring some fun information about Family Weekend. For those I met this summer, hi, I'm Nikki Jenkins, Director of Family and Civic Engagement. So Family Weekend is really exciting. We are going to be opening registration on August 1st. And the shell schedule is actually available online right now on the Family Weekend website so that you can see all of the different major events that we're going to be having during the weekend. So everything from our traditional Kentucky Donut Trail, there will be horse racing happening in Keeneland over the weekend. We have a Family Weekend welcome reception that's going to be presented by the UK Federal Credit Union. We are going to have tailgate options through UK alumni. We'll have a watch party for families who want to watch the game just with friends in the Student Center. So lots and lots of options throughout the weekend. A complete list of events is coming very soon in the next week or two to include also events during homecoming. So lots and lots of fun things going on there. I will also tell you that while registration opens August 1st, football tickets are going to go on sale July 17th. And so you'll get information about that next week through the Cat Chat family community. So know that information is coming very soon. If you have questions about Family Weekend, we're happy to have you give us a call, shoot us an email to parents at uky.edu, excuse me, and we're ready and willing to answer them.
Thanks, Nikki. Appreciate you jumping in on Kate's computer there. All right, this is a great question for Colton and KJ. Bob's asking what students need to do to become an RA. Bob's thinking ahead to students' second year on campus and what it takes to be an RA. All right, Colton's going to take that one. Thanks.
Yeah, so the way that me and KJ both got the RA position is number one, you have to apply. Those applications open up in the fall semester. And so your student need to be checking uky.jobs, which is basically our on-campus job website where all students can find all campus employment opportunities, but they're also going to find that residence life RA position as well. And I also saw a question about fridges in the dorms. All dorm rooms do have a fridge, a mini fridge that all rooms will have. So each suite or each room will have one to be able to utilize as well.
Yeah, a good call, Colton. Yeah, there was a question about can students have their own mini fridge in their bedroom? So each room comes with a mini fridge, and students are not allowed to bring additional ones unless they have that as an accommodation through a disability resource center. As you can imagine, how many plugs and how many things are plugged in our university residence halls. And so we've got fire safety in mind for sure. And so yeah, students get the micro fridge provided, and again, can only have additional ones with those accommodations. All right. So Stacy's asking, do any of you have experience with living in a residence hall and following a special diet? So she's thinking about the residence halls having shared kitchens and wondering about access to refrigerator or freezer outside of her dorm room. Who wants to take that? All right, KJ's going to handle that one for us.
Yes, regarding having a kitchen and outside fridge in the dorm halls, I have stayed in dorm hall myself. That was at Blazer Hall. Yes, there was a kitchen outside of our dorm where we had access to kitchens. Well, kitchen, of course, but I'm talking about the stove. I brought my own pots and pans, but the front desk in our dorms all have resources that we can use to cook. So we have pots, they have plates, they have anything that you need necessarily to make a meal. So you can access that there. And in that kitchen, we have a fridge, a microwave, also a stove that you can cook on. So to make your own meals regarding special diets or anything like that, you can make your own meals at the dorms.
All right, we're also seeing some questions about some of the other amenities that are in some of the residence halls. Beth's asking if the dorms have toasters, and she asking about the common area kitchen. We've got somebody else asking about ice makers. So who can take those? All right, Colton's up on that.
Yeah, so all our fridges do have ice makers. So those are things that students can utilize. And I'll say they're also the nice ice, like the shave ice that students really like. They have some of those around. Um, Also, they do not provide toasters. Hello, you can bring one to campus. That is on the approved list for what you can and cannot bring. If you are questioning whether or not an item of yours is able to be brought or not, I recommend checking out the UK Housing website. They have a what to bring and what not to bring. And that is also not including air fryers. I know it's a big one that a lot of families have questions about, and air fryers are not allowed on campus.
All right. So Jerry's asking about knowing about bed sizes, like knowing what size sheets to purchase. His students in Pigman Hall, but where can students and families get more information about their students' individual residence halls? All right, KJ's going to take that.
Regarding information about the dorms and the beds that they have or anything like that, we can use our website, which is the campus, UKY campus housing, and they have all information about each of the residence hall that are on campus. And to answer your question about the size sheets, the bed sizes that we have are the full size large. I think that's what it's called, but queen size material sheets or so on, it works for the size bed that we have here.
Yeah, and as I saw that question, I just pulled up Google and did a quick search for UKY Pigman Hall and got to the Pigman Hall website that's got a list of those hall-specific amenities. So even if your student's not in Pigman Hall, you can do the same thing, and it'll get you to the website you need for your student-specific hall. All right. Amina's asking if you all can share a little bit about K-Week. So I would love to hear about your K-Week experiences, favorite events. What do you want them to know about K-Week? All right, Destiny's going to take that one.
Okay, so I love K Week, everything K Week. It's a week where your students will have an opportunity to engage with people within their college, within their major, and just other students on campus. So there are multiple events that happen throughout the week. Um, and there's things such as Campus Ruckus, where that's an opportunity where many of our organizations, we have over 700 orgs on campus. And so about 200 or 300 will present their organization at Campus Ruckus, and students are able to go and network and see the things that they may have interest in, and get more information about those organizations. There's also things where they'll take their class photo on Kroger Field, similar to the one that Nancy has behind her. So they'll do that. But there are multiple events that happen all throughout the week. Your students will get an email closer to like move-in time for their placement on their K team, which will be a group of people that they'll go to these events with, and they'll have a K crew leader that will be able to lead them to those events, so they won't go alone, and they'll know exactly how to get there. And then everything that will be happening during that week will be on UKY Guide, so they can also have that option to decide if they want to go, or like maybe go to multiple things during one day, because there's just so many events and different organizations host things during K Week. But it's an opportunity to meet people, get some free food, free t-shirts, free ice cream. So it's a great week.
Yeah, thanks for providing that overview, Destiny. I'd like to hear from others. Any other favorite K-Week events that you would encourage our incoming students to check out? I see people's thinking faces on.
One of my favorites is to kind of kick off K-Week. There is a organization on campus that throws a barn party, and they have like a little petting zoo, and they've got like pancakes and lots of different stuff that happens on campus. And ever since I've been here, I've gone every single year. I still go to K-Week events, even going into my senior year, because who doesn't like free stuff, especially free food? So I can't complain. I still go to everything.
Yeah, our returning students know what's up. Colton, KJ, any favorite K-Week events that haven't been mentioned yet?
It's not necessarily a K-Week event, but like Destiny and Maddie said, you have free ice cream, you have free food. If you're spending money, if you're speaking with your student and they say that they're spending money on Popeyes or McDonald's or anything, tell them that they should go out, because there's a lot of free food during K-Week. You should not be spending any money in K-Week, and you get basically a new wardrobe during K-Week with all the free merch that are around. So I enjoy that.
Yeah, and I'll just add to KJ, I would really just say is to encourage your student to get out and go find stuff. There, in my mind, there's not one specific event other than probably what Maddie was talking about that stands out to me, but there is so much happening on campus that there is something for any student to get out there and get involved. And so I just recommend checking that schedule, going out and doing things because as KJ said, there's food, there's merch, there's so much happening. So just getting out there and finding those things.
Yeah, oh yeah, KJ, what do you want to add?
Colton mentioned the schedule. Ensure that your student does not delete the UK Guides app. That's an app that's going to be needed during K week. They will have their K crew leader, but also the UK Guides help them have some type of like individuality and like independence finding events and so on campus during K week.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, the folks in the Office of Student Organizations and Activities are putting the finishing touches on the full K-week schedule. So I haven't seen that in UK Guides yet. Some of the basic, like big staple events are already on the website. And I put that link in the chat, but more information to come about K-week, but it's going to be really fun. Bob asked a follow-up question. I don't know that any of you were in the Wildcat Marching Band, so I'm happy to take this. He just says, our son will be participating in Marching Band during K-week. How much will he be able to be involved in? So our marching band students do work so hard getting ready for the first home football game. And so they don't participate in all of the K-week events, but they certainly are encouraged to check out some of the social opportunities. All of our incoming students should attend their meeting with their undergraduate college, and that information will be in the K-week schedule. So yeah, just encourage our marching band students or similar students participating in other, kind of similar programs that may be busy during K-week to just attend what they can. And they'll still be meeting people and getting connected to UK through marching band or whatever other program they're participating in. All right, so we got some more residence hall questions. Jennifer wants to know, do the dorms close completely for holidays where students have to leave? And if so, which holidays? So while you all are taking that one, I will put the break housing link in the chat as well so folks can see those hall opening and closing dates. All right, Colton, you'll take that one for us.
Yeah, so absolutely. We do have break housing doors on campus, but I will say for the majority of freshman dorms do close over the winter break, spring break, Thanksgiving break. Those are major breaks here at the university in which they won't have classes and stuff like that, and the dorms will shut down, meaning that everyone does have to leave. We do have dorms that are open throughout breaks. Those are called break housing dorms, and that's something that Nancy, I think, is going to be giving a link to. And I would just be making sure if you do need that accommodation and your student is someone that wants to stay over breaks and be able to have that availability to come back to the dorm, that they need to be housed in that building. But that is all going to be through the website.
Yeah, KJ, what do you want to add?
Also in that link, that just to add to what Colton is saying, to add to that link, the breaks, the dates and so on will be mentioned in for all the break housings and so on. For when they have to move out, the dates will be there in that link, and when they have to move back in or when they can move back in. But for all break housing, it's every holiday that we have, every break except for summer. They're all open. All break housing dorms are open until summer, basically, when the school year ends.
All right. Next question is a good one about, have any of you participated in an education abroad program? And they're asking about your experience and how families can learn a little bit more. All right, Colton's going to take that one.
Yeah, so I got to go to Italy last summer through study abroad, and I cannot say one thing enough. I cannot say enough positive things about study abroad. I absolutely love the experience and stuff like that. The ways to kind of get knowledgeable about it is, number one, I recommend checking out the study abroad website. They on that website outline every study abroad program for each semester, outlining like what it is, what they're doing, where they're going, and all that information like that. So that would probably be the best way. That's how I got into my study abroad. How I found out about mine was that I just checked the website because I was interested in wanting to do that. And so I just found that program, applied to it, and ended up getting in and getting to go abroad. So that's a little my experience. But I can say that if for also for study abroad is that it's a very well-handled system. They are very knowledgeable about abroad traveling. And so if you have questions or concerns about study abroad, I would reach out to them because they have so many resources and things that they have to prepare students also for going abroad as well.
Anybody else have an education abroad experience? All right, thanks Colton for sharing yours. All right, Angela's asking, is there bus transportation available to students to transport students out of state during breaks? Maddie's going to take that one. All right, thanks.
Yes, so we do have bus shuttle services during our major holiday breaks. So that's fall break in October, Thanksgiving break, winter and spring for students who are both leaving and coming back from those breaks. And they run not only to the Lexington Bluegrass Airport, but also the Cincinnati and the Louisville Airport. So if you weren't able to get a flight out from Lexington, which is our airport's only about 15 minutes away from campus, they can always go to the Cincinnati or Louisville airport. Otherwise, if it's just a random weekend and they want to come home or something like that, your student does have we do have a partnership with LexTran, which is the bus service that runs throughout the city of Lexington, and they do have buses that run to those airports. So all your student has to do is hop on one of those buses and show their student ID. That also applies if they just want to go down to Kroger to go grocery shopping, anything of that sort. And then there's also bus services on campus that will transport their students around campus as well.
Maddie, I put that link in the chat. It still has information from this past spring break. So the transportation services team will update that prior to the major break. So you've got the link, but more details to come as we get closer to those breaks. All right, I really like this next question I'm seeing. It says, what was the most helpful thing your parents or family did for you on move-in day? How was the goodbye process for you? Who'd like to take that first? All right, Colton.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think it really comes down to the relationship you have with your student. If it sometimes goodbyes can be hard, and that's something that I witnessed when I moved in, is that that last goodbye when that dorm room shuts and you're kind of left to yourself and you're like, well, this is it is a very surreal experience and a memory that I'm gonna have the rest of my life. But for a recommendation I have for you all is that that move-in happens during K week, and K week is all those events that are happening. And so I would just say for the goodbye process is just obviously have those moments, say those goodbyes, have those things, but also make sure that you're allowing your student an opportunity to go out there and go to the events and stuff. So if you're hanging in town, maybe understanding that they need to go and branch out and they need to go get doing some of the events for K week and not sticking around too long, but also not just if your student's one that's not going to be very happy with you all leaving, just sticking around a little bit, saying those goodbyes, but also knowing that they're going to be in good hands and that there are programming that they'll be going through throughout the week for them.
All right, KJ, how about your experience?
My goodbye experience, my moving in experience with my family, it was pretty smooth, to be honest. And one good thing that they did was take me grocery shopping. The one last grocery shopping that was amazing. And I tried my best to get everything that probably I didn't need. Nothing spoiled though. Everything was good. I used everything. But it lasts me until third half of the fall semester. So that was really good. So taking your student to grocery shopping would be really amazing. And labeling was awesome. My mom did amazing with labeling, and I knew where everything was supposed to go and so on. So it was awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned grocery shopping. Amy just asking the Q&A when students can begin to access the dining halls. And so I checked the dining website and those meal plans start August 17th. So between a grocery run to the store and the meal plans, they'll be able to eat. That's not an issue. Who would like to share their experience with move-in and that initial goodbye next? All right, Maddie.
There it goes. Mine also went pretty smooth. I am a pretty organized person, especially when it comes to move-in. I like to play a lot of Tetris when it comes to making sure everything fits in. My best recommendation for move-in is on Amazon. They have like those IKEA bags. Those are a lifesaver. You can get pack of 8 for like $12, and it was really, really good with like consolidating a lot of material, and I still use them to this day, and they're really easy to store, and that made the move-in process a lot easier for me and my mom. And then as I was like getting everything up into my room, I will say it was very sentimental just because like my mom was like getting emotional. I was getting emotional of like a whole thing. But then she was like, okay, you seem excited that you just want to decorate your room. So I'll leave you alone for a few hours. Text me when you're ready for dinner. And then we went out for a really nice meal, and just kind of like talked over things, talked over what the week was going to be like going into K week, because I moved in the day before K week started. And then she said goodbye, and I was texting her the rest of the week, just like checking in, just being like, I miss you, because it was a little hard for me, change wise, just kind of like getting acclimated to the environment, but it was really good. And like having her there, but not like bombarding me with a whole bunch of texts, like, are you okay? Was really good.
Thanks for sharing that. Any other memories of your first move-in day and how your family supported you?
Yeah, so my move-in day looked a little bit differently because I flew in. So I had all of my clothes in my suitcases and then my mom and my grandmother's suitcase as well. And when we flew into Cincinnati Airport, and then on the way back to or way to Lexington, we stopped at the store at Target and like Kroger and got some things for my dorm. And so um I will say it was just a very long day, and it's just overwhelming. There's so many things happening, there's so many people, and it's exciting, but it's a lot. And I was just really nervous, if I'm being honest. So um I just really was very grateful that my mom and my grandma were very patient with me. Like they didn't ask me so many questions. It was like, okay, where do we need to park? It's like the basic things. Okay, what do you want us to do now? I'm like, okay, can you put this stuff, my bathroom stuff away while I unpack? Like it was just communicating and making sure like everything got done. And then we got food after, so it was nice. But and then they actually ended up staying. So that first night I just stayed with them in the hotel because I didn't want to leave just yet. But once they did go home, it was a little bit it was definitely sad because I know it was going to be a little bit of time before I saw them again. But just having that support and knowing like they were here, to help and just be supportive in any way was really nice.
Gail's asking a good follow-up question, and I would love to hear from some of you on what advice do you have for freshmen who are feeling homesick during the first weeks? I saw Colton's hand go up very quickly, so you have some experience here, I'm guessing.
Yeah, as Nancy mentioned, I work in residence life and I work with first year students. And so out of all the things I usually see within the first 4 weeks of classes is homesickness is probably going to be in those top three. And those are discussions that I have with residents. Those are emotions that I had when I was a freshman moving in. But the advice that I would give for you all is, sometimes it's really hard to kind of be able to distance yourself. But for a lot of students, it's forcing them to get out, go and get involved. Because sometimes a lot of that homesickness is the fact that, what are they doing outside of the classroom? Are they going out? Are they going to make friends? Are they going to events? And also, I had a resident last year that was very homesick and was very very upset about it. And one of the things that he did for himself and was that he forced himself to be on campus over the weekends and kind of made himself be a little bit more independent and kind of made himself feel a little bit less homesick through just like that distance. And so that's a unique experience that I got to work through him with that. But I would say it's really individual the way that you deal with it. But in my experience, it's making some of that distance, and it's going to hurt, it's going to suck, but it's a part of growing up and becoming a college student and independent.
Yeah, Destiny, what would you add to that experience?
So yeah, just to follow up, I completely agree with Colton. You just have to kind of get through it, and I think participating in multiple things on campus is very helpful. I'm come from a very family-oriented family, and I have not been home since December, and I am like, it's a lot, but I am so involved between the orientation office and just student activity board. I've gotten involved in so many things. I've been able to travel with friends and um, even away from Lexington. I think sometimes it's just nice to get into different environment. But just getting out there, meeting people, staying active is very helpful because it almost just takes your mind away from those things for a little bit. So just making sure you're, participating in things on campus is the best advice that I can give. But also what Colton said, just it's something you're just gonna have to get through. But everyone is in the same position. Like we all miss our family, we all miss our friends, and even some people, I'm like, I miss high school. Like you miss those things, but you get through it together. And so um, they'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Yeah, Maddie, what was your experience?
I would say kind of on top of that, not only like get involved on campus, but also get involved off campus. There's a lot of things happening just in the city of Lexington alone, and just a lot to explore, especially within walking distance. That's how I have like started considering like Lexington my home now and not really like DC. I'm from DC, but DC's not my home anymore. And it was just like exploring and like just getting to know people. And I found like some of my favorite things to do here. It just like branching out, trying different stuff, going to different restaurants, like even that stuff. It has been very rewarding in that sense because I went through the whole thing when I first got here of like, did I make the right decision? Did I pick the right school? This, that, and the other. And then I introduced myself to one person in one of my classes, and then it just spread from there. So just I would say have your student needs to have confidence in themselves that they're gonna find their way.
Yeah, we've got someone who asked a follow-up question about homesickness. Says, we only live 2.5 hours away. I know my daughter's going to be homesick. How often should I recommend to let her come home? I want her to stay on campus and not come home every weekend, but I don't want to push her away either. Do you think once a month is a good amount so that they get involved on campus? What perspectives do you have on that situation? Yeah, Destiny.
I think that is just a conversation that you'd have to have with your students because it is just, your own preference. I will say, as the semester goes on, your students will probably like just be so involved and excited to stay on campus, or they might not even have that like I need to come home. The homesickness does fade away after, a while. Um, but I think that's again something that you really have to discuss. I am a transfer student, and so the first school that I was at, I was only about an hour and a half away from home. So I actually and I would stay home on the weekend, or I'd stay at school on the weekends, but I would go home every now and then for birthdays or other like family celebrations and like the main things. But like if it was just a regular weekend, I would stay on campus, and that's what worked for me for those first 2 years.
Any other advice folks would share about kind of how often is good to go home, at least in the initial transition? Yeah, Colton.
Yeah, I would say I'm gonna go with Destiny and say it's really up to the student and yourself, like what you feel like is necessary. But I will also say if you are having a student that is, feeling super homesick, maybe it's putting some of that boundary up and being like, I think you should stay a weekend. I think you should stay over there. Because sometimes, some students are want to come home. They want to come home and visit, but it's not helping them deal with their homesickness. And so making sure you're also allowing them the opportunity to kind of go through that and kind of get to, mature in that way.
Amy's asking a follow-up question about when to anticipate that homesickness might hit. Did you all find that if you experienced it, it was more initially, or if it was kind of once classes got started and like you were building your routine? Is there a time that families might expect to see it? Knowing obviously it varies from person to person.
Um, I would say mine kicked in about the second week of classes. I was starting to settle in, like get to know my roommate a little bit better, and then it kind of hit me that I was like, oh, I'm here away from home, alone, sort of thing. But yeah, the second week.
I would say homesickness for me hit like in the alone moments of that first 2 weeks. Like when you don't have anything to do, you're back in the dorm, you're in the bed just relaxing. It's like this is out of like what you would do normally back home. You already have like a set routine back home. You already have like a set routine back home. when you are like when you're here and it's a different routine completely, it's like the alone moments where you're not active, your mind is not busy, you get extremely like in your mind like I should be home, I want to be home. So that's when it would hit for me in my dorm when I'm alone, not being busy or anything like that. So it's like kind of different for me. It's just my alone moments.
Anybody else want to add their experience? So I'm going to put the TRACS website in the chat for everyone. TRACS stands for Triage, Referral Assistance, and Crisis Support. And that's our mental health team on campus. And particularly in the fall semester, I think homesickness is one of the primary issues that they help students with. And so I'd encourage you to check out that website. There's more information on how students can get connected with TRACS. If you end up being concerned about your student at any point, they have a link there with parent family resources. There's ways that you can alert the university that you think someone may need to check up on your student. And so we're happy to support students in that transition. We know it's a normal part of it, but it's not always easy to see your student going through that. All right, let's take some more questions. Brian's asking about for any tips regarding meal plans. Says my student loves Starbucks and Chick-fil-A. Are the flex dollars worth it? I'm seeing people nod and smile. So who wants to talk about your flex dollar usage? Who's willing to admit what their burn rate is on flex dollars? All right, Maddie's looking a little ashamed.
So my freshman year, I lived in a residence hall that was right across the street from the library where one of our Starbucks is located. I frequented that establishment, and by frequent, I mean at least twice a day. I am not exaggerating in the slightest bit. I do have a caffeine problem, hence how I've been sipping on my coffee this entire time. But I was also right down the street from the Chick-fil-A as well, one of our Chick-fil-A's on campus. It is built into your student's meal plan. So if your student decides that they are living on campus, in one of our like freshman style residence halls, they will have a meal plan on campus, and there are two sides of that meal plan. One is going to be their meal swipes, which will get them into one of our two dining halls, and then the other one is going to be the flex dollars. Depending on what meal plan you have, those flex dollars vary in amount. However, you can always add money onto that flex if you are running low, or if you did want to add more. No matter what meal plan you have, you can always add more. But all of our flex dollar locations also accept cash, credit, and debit. I started with the middle meal plan, just to kind of gauge if I was going to eat in the dining halls more, or if I was going to eat at more of our flex locations more. I ate at more of our flex locations. So I ended up downgrading my meal plan to the lowest one, which was 10 meal swipes a week for our dining halls and about $75 a flex. And then when I was running low on flex, I would just add more to that. So it really just depends on your student. I would highly recommend they kind of do the same of kind of gauge of whether or not those first few weeks are going to eat in the dining halls more or eat in some of our flex locations more. And we do have 26 different flex locations on campus, including 2 Chick-fil-A's. We have 11 coffee shops, 5 of which are Starbucks. So they could definitely check that out, but there's other options as well besides those.
Maddie's always good for telling you where his coffee run is coming from. Yeah, Colton, what was your experience with those flex dollars?
Yeah, my recommendation, although Maddie, perfect answer. My other one would be that if you're finding that your student is constantly using that flex, constantly eating at those locations, encourage them to use those meal swipes at the dining halls. There's lots of foods and options there. And, we know that you all work very hard for that money and for those flex dollars. And if you're finding that you're constantly having to give them more, or they're constantly eating at those locations, encourage them to eat at dining halls and eat that food as well.
All right, so let's go to our next topic. I'm also keeping an eye on our time, knowing that we have about an hour together. Bob's asking how easy or successful you've been finding internships each summer and wondering when students should start looking. I know obviously this summer you've been a first year experience ambassadors, but does anybody have experience finding internships? All right, Colton.
Yeah, being a kinesiology and exercise science major, internships are pretty crucial for our major, getting into healthcare and getting that experience, especially if we're looking into grad schools. But my recommendation for any major is number one, talk to your advisor. Advisors are going to be those first touch points of, talking about those internship opportunities if they have, because a lot of times the university has connections with certain campus partners or off-campus sites where they already have students embedded in that can help with those connections started. So talk to those advisors, ask those questions. And also look early. I would say a lot of internships open early, those applications open early. And so making sure if that's something that your student wants to do, that they're on top of it and they're not waiting to the last minute to do that.
Any other experiences anybody would share? I'm also going to put a link to our Stuckert Career Center in the chat with some more internship info.
I will say in the fall and the spring, there are campus-wide career fairs for all majors. And then also every single college will have their own career fair. And that's a great opportunity for your student to go in and see who's tabling. They could just ask some questions, whether it's internship opportunities, post-grad opportunities, just experience in general. They do a really good job. Some students even bring their resume just to do it on the spot. But I have gotten some opportunities through that during the year. And a lot of the time they are connected with a lot of they are a UK partner. So it helps with class credit, everything of that sort. And usually some of those people are connected with your professors. So that's also how I have found some stuff is just through your professors as well. So not only your advisors, but also talking with your professors.
Yeah, that's good advice as well. All right, got a question about safety. That's not uncommon in these panels. Amina says, I would love to hear your experiences on if you feel safe on the UK campus and if Lexington's safe. Any suggestions that we can provide our student on how to be aware of their new surroundings? It's a great question. Maddie will take that one for us.
I love to talk about safety. I feel like I like to call it putting on my tour guide hat. Just some numbers for you all. So we do have a police department that just services the University of Kentucky, not the city of Lexington, not Fayette County. While they do work closely with them as well to provide safety for our students being in Lexington, we do have 64 officers that just service our campus alone. So if your student was to have any safety concerns, any emergency needs, they can definitely get in contact with UKPD. If your student was to walk across campus at any given point, they're going to notice some blue emergency towers. If they were to feel unsafe, they could walk up to one of those towers, push the red emergency button on it, and within 10 seconds, you'll be patched through with one of those UKPD officers, as well as a 360 camera up above to turn on. And if you were to look in any direction, you'd be able to see another one of those blue towers. So if you needed to remain mobile, you can always walk from tower to tower and they'd be able to track you. And then otherwise, there's the UKPD officers are always around campus, but we do have an app called Safe Zone, which is going to provide a great opportunity for your students for any emergency resources if they were in a building or if they needed to connect with UKPD or anything. And then also on there, we have our own little version of a Life 360, where your student could connect with their roommates, their friends, anything of that sort to track locations. Another one of my favorites that I also love to talk about is during this school year, our library is open 24 hours, Sunday through Thursday. But between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., it is only open for university students. And if they were to be walking back to wherever they need to go, say it's 2, 3 a.m. and they don't feel comfortable, we have a partnership with our ROTC students, a program called Safe Cats, and they will escort them back to wherever they need to go. They don't have to be just at the library. They could be anywhere on campus and escort them back. They also have a heated golf cart. It's very nice. I've taken a ride before during those cold nights. But I would just recommend that your student explores all those different options. There are so many more on top of those, but those are just a few main ones that we have here on campus. But just encourage your student to explore them and to just be aware of their surroundings. I myself have never felt unsafe on campus at any given moment. I have walked across campus at 2 a.m. on my way back from the library before, and also downtown as well. Like I have never felt unsafe. But I always like to be with a friend just because I ramble, or sometimes I'll just like put a headphone in to listen to music. But it's nice to like just walk around campus or walk around downtown Lexington with a friend as well.
Thanks, Maddie. That was a lot of good information. Does anybody else want to share their perceptions of campus safety? Yeah, Colton.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I've lived in the dorms all 4 years, so I've got to live on campus, and I will say that, like Maddie, I've never once had an experience where I haven't felt safe. You know, that we have all those things in place because, you know, sometimes it's like a safety belt. You know, it's there if you need it. However, is it really utilized? Probably not, but it's there. And sometimes for students, that's all we really need, is to be able to know that there is something in place in case something was to happen. But the odds of anything ever happening is really slim.
Destiny or KJ, anything you'd add?
I could add that I too have never felt unsafe here on campus. I've always been safe, and I always knew that if there's anything wrong, any emergency, if I need to be contacted with UKPD, all I have to do is type in pound UKPD in my phone. I send that off, and I get in contact with someone at the UK Police Department here on campus, and from there, I know that my safety would be secured. So, my personal experience, I've never felt unsafe on campus. I've never been unsafe on campus, and it's really amazing because of that. And all of the safety policies that are in place, they really work wonders and always help with reassurance anytime there's safety concerns.
Destiny, any final thoughts on safety or?
I've never had any moments where I felt unsafe, and I always feel like even if it's late night, I'm walking back from work or something by myself, there's always someone out there anyway. Like there's so many students who I just feel like are up all night. So I'm like, I never really feel like I'm alone. But even if I were, it's really peaceful on campus. There's bunnies and chipmunks and squirrels, and that's the most you'll see, at least I have seen at night. And so that's, I don't know. It's great to know that we do have those resources on campus, but I'm grateful. Never really had to use any of them.
Yeah. Talking to your student about good common sense, that'll serve them well in many cases. All right, so we are coming right up on our time, but the title of our panel is What I Wish My Family Knew. And I know that that's something that you've been sharing with families throughout this orientation season. So what final tips do you have to share with everyone? What do you wish your family knew? Who wants to take that one first? All right, Maddie, you're up.
I would just say your student is going to be okay. We have so many different resources here on campus for them to succeed, and it's okay if they feel like they're down in the dumps, like something's going on. We have all felt that way, but there are so many people here to support them. There are so many different services here to support them. And if there's not, we can definitely get you connected with somebody who can start it up. That always seems to be the thing here, kind of just finding your place. And if it's not there, we will make it for you because we want you to feel supported and home here, a part of our Wildcat family.
All right, Destiny, how about you?
I just wanted to say, like, your student is capable of getting through all the things that life will throw at them. I know as parents, as supporters, we always I'm not a parent, but they would like to help and try to figure out all of the problems. But this is just the time where your student is now having to start to navigate through those real life decisions and problems on their own. And so the thing is, UK has so many resources, how Maddie said, to support in every way. They've thought of everything. And that's one of my favorite things about UK. I feel like very supported. And so your student will face challenges, and that's where you just ask, hey, do you need advice? Do you need help? Do you just want to vent? How can I support you? And maybe they don't want anything. I just need you to listen, and that's all you can do. And until they ask for more, I think that's just the best way to support them and just be there for them. But overall, their student is going to be great here at UK, and I hope their experience is great. Mine has been lovely, and so yeah, the student is going to be okay.
All right, KJ, you want to go next?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I wish my family knew was that I'm here for my success. I'm here to graduate from high school, to carry on my path, to have a successful life. And my mom, she thinks I'm here wasting my time. I'm partying, but no. I am here, I'm going to classes, I'm ensuring that I get everything done. If I need help, I go in and I seek it. So I wish that my family knew that when I get here, well, when I got here, I ensured that my academics came first and I prioritized it over everything else. And I'm here, you want me to succeed, and I'm here trying my best to ensure that I also gain success. And just to add a small little thing, just a fun little thing, money is always accepted at all times, at night, every day. So that would be amazing. And goodies, packages is also accepted too. So that's all.
All right, last but not least, Colton, what do you have down?
Yeah, my word of advice is going to be uncomfortable with silence. And what I mean by that is that as freshmen, especially during those first few couple of weeks of classes in K week, is that life can get pretty busy pretty quick. I remember during my K week in my first week, I was getting up probably about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't get back into my bed until probably about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Probably not the healthiest thing for my body to not get enough sleep, but it was just because I was getting out, getting involved, trying to find my people. And because of that, you'll find that a lot of students don't have a lot of time just to kind of hang around, sit and talk. And so if you are one of those parents that maybe has a constant communication with your student, or might be used to a certain standard of communication, if you feel like that is being neglected and that you're not getting all those calls or text messages, and you might be getting those fine replies, how are you doing? I'm doing fine, I'm doing okay, that kind of stuff. Just give them a little space, let them experience college, and then I assume that they will tell you when they have the time later. But for those first couple weeks, for sure, is to be okay with not having as much contact, and then kind of just figuring out life, because it is a lot, and that freshman year is a lot.
That's all really good advice. Folks are starting to use the Q&A to thank and praise you all, saying that you're great students. This was super helpful. This was really great. I learned so much. I really appreciate all of you guys sharing your experience. And so I know there's many others who feel the same way. And I know it has been such a privilege to work with you all this summer, and for some of you for a couple of summers. So thanks so much for all you've done for our incoming class, for our families this summer. I hope you all get to rest this weekend and kind of post orientation and start preparing for your own fall semester. Yeah, I hope you all are watching the Q&A FIAs, because they're singing your praises. So thanks to all of you parents and families for joining us today. We hope this was helpful to you, and hope you'll make plans to attend additional Cat Chat Lives. FIAs, again, you're amazing. Thank you so much. And look forward to seeing everybody on future Cat Chat Lives and at Big Blue Move In. Thanks so much, and go Cats.